Good morning, all of you. Today's our topic of discussion is switch statement. Before we get into the actual syntax of switch, let us see what's there on this board now. Suppose user gives a number. Either we can take it from keyboard or it can be a constant, whatever. The number is available. And imagine a code. This number can have any value from 1, 2, 3 up to 12. So I have written down a code over here. If number is equal to 1, we print the word January. Else, if the number is 2, we print the word February. And you can visualize the rest of the code here. For 3, it is March. For 4, it is April. For 6, it will be June. For 9, it will be September, like that. For 12, it will be December. And unfortunately, if the user enters a number 13, 14, 50, whatever unknowingly, then you can say it is invalid, the last part of it. Now, of course, we can solve this problem by writing down this kind of a code with if, else if, as many as you want. And when none of the else if are true, then only possible thing is the other alternatives all are considered in else, where we write down print if invalid. So this is like my default case. This is like my default possibility. When none of the other possibilities hold true, this one will be applicable. Now just observe the logic in this. Only when the first is not true, we come for the second possibility. Now first is true is January. When that is not true, then the possibilities are February, March, April, so many. 11 possibilities still exist when this one is not true. Out of those 11 possibilities, again I need to check for one, which is 2, and that is the February. The moment this is also not true, there are 10 more possibilities still existing. Out of those, again I check for 3, which is March. So what I want to say is, one possibility we consider, confirm, then we don't have to deal with others. Means our code has to break out from here once that is true. And if it is not true, then I don't know which one of the other possibilities will be true, and I just carry on forward. But the moment I take one step ahead, I check one condition. Again one condition, again one step, one condition, that way we go on. So of course we can solve it with if, else if and all this kind of thing. But just observe one thing in this kind of logic, one thing is very common. At this stage, at this stage, at this stage, or at any level of the stages, we are always comparing number. So there is only one expression which is nothing but number, only one expression which is nothing but number, which we are comparing with 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. Meaning that there is only something called number which has possible values. One is 1, the other is 2, the other is 3, and it goes on and on and on. So can we put it in another logical way? There is something called number which has cases. Number, let us consider a case where it can be 1. Then number, let us consider a case where it can be 2. Then again number, let us consider a case where it is 3. Again number, let us consider a case which can be 12. Meaning the same number has possible cases. The same number has possible cases. So in these kind of logical requirements, instead of using if, else if, of course you can use if, else if, but rather than using if and else if, you can probably make it more readable by using a syntax or a logical construct called switch statement. Now yes, you can do it with if and else if. Again and again I am saying that you can do it using if and else if, but there is one more way to do that, which is a switch statement, in which case the necessity is the same thing is having multiple possibilities. Same thing is having multiple cases. It's not something like in the first if we consider age, in the second case we consider salary, in the third case we consider nationality. Means the logical conditions are not kind of diverse or irrelevant with each other. The same thing is getting different cases. It is like different forms. It's like different forms. For example, age. For example, age. If it is between 0 to 10, we call it child. If it is 10 to 18, we call it an adolescent. If it is 18 to 40, we call it middle age. If it is 40 to 60, we call it old. Or something like that. Meaning that the same age is getting compared. Then that can be also another ideal example of using switch statement. But if we consider, is the person Indian? Okay. Is he part of Andhra Pradesh? Okay. Then is he kind of well salaried, or is he self-employed? Is that person a male or a female? Then what is the hobby of that particular person? So meaning that when there are different diverse things that you are comparing across different if cases, then maybe it would be weird to use this switch statement, and that way probably in that case you will use only if else. But in cases when the same condition is getting compared with multiple possible values, same expression having multiple possible values. I repeat, same expression or a variable having multiple possible values, meaning expression has value so and so case 1, expression has value so and so case 2, expression has value so and so case 3. Like that, if it is there, we can easily use a switch statement so that we convert this same logic into switch statement syntax. What you just have to do is, rather than saying number equal to 1, number equal to 2, number equal to 3 so many number of times, you just simply say case, and the value here is 1 and put a semicolon. So what did I do? If, else if I am going to remove. Here again you remove this else if and call it case. What is the possible value? 2 and put a, not a semicolon, it's a colon. Please remember this has to be there, this is part of the syntax, this is compulsory, you cannot get rid of this. Case 1 colon, case 2 colon. Now this is, I am not numbering the cases. 1 is a possible value that no variable no can have. 2 is the possible value that the variable no can have. Like that I can go on case 3 colon, case 4 colon. And when it is the last else kind of a thing, meaning it is not a single value for which this is to be performed. 1 is not there, 2 is not there, 3 is not there, 4 is not there, up to that 12 is not there. Then it can be 14, it can be 5.5, it can be 17, it can be any sense or nonsense value, in which case I will write the word default. In which case I will write down the word default. This last case we are using the reserved word default. Now by the way, what are the reserved words in this? Case is a reserved word. Again here a reserved word. Default is a reserved word. That way this colon is a reserved word, or you can call it a token. This colon is a reserved word, or you can call it a token. Now what are the possible values that NO can take? 1, 2 and so on. Of course the value you don't have to mention in case of default, because all the remaining values will come under default. If none of these matches, default is going to match. If none of these is matches, then default is going to match. So in this particular way it is written. Now there is one more advantage of this. You don't have to write down curly braces. You don't have to write down this curly braces. You don't have to write down this curly braces. It is not needed. So you can get rid of that. One more requirement is, don't just say case and case. If you know now, there is no mention of who is going to take these possible values of 1 to 12. So just about this, I will have to write down a reserved word called switch. It is a switch on NO. So these possible values of 1, 2, 3 up to 12 are going to be taken up ideally by a variable called no, or the variable or the logical expression whose different values we are considering, whose different values are going to form different cases. That expression will come into parenthesis after the reserved word switch. By the way, nothing here is capital, everything is lowercase. Switch, case, everything is a lowercase. Be careful, don't make it uppercase, lowercase, or a combination of those. C language is case sensitive, meaning what is to be lowercase has to be lowercase. If at all there is something uppercase, it has to be uppercase. There is capital letters. You can't exchange at your will. C language will understand it differently. So switch expression in parenthesis, then definitely put a curly brace start at the very beginning. Then all the cases will come. After your default is you will put one more curly brace, and without fail, don't forget to put a semicolon at the end. This semicolon indicates my switch statement is over. So one case, two case, three case, so many cases, finally default case, all this together becomes one statement that is called as a switch statement. In C language, every statement terminates with a semicolon. Switch statement also terminates with a semicolon. One more precaution that you must always remember, many people don't understand that or they easily forget it out, is if a number is having the value 1, it will perform whatever is written after this colon, and right through the everything of the code it is going to perform. Unlike your if and else if had a starting and ending curly brace mark, so it will perform just that much. But in case of this, if 1 is true, it will directly perform the others also. So that it does not perform the other cases, I need to break it out from here. So I use one more reserve word called break just over here. It is something like you are driving, somebody comes on your way, so that you don't bump or hit onto him, you have to break at the very moment of time. So if the number is value 1, you perform this and you have to break at the very instant of time, otherwise you will bump into this other person. So when the value is 1, this will be coming out from here by performing just this much. And that is why we don't need curly braces over here. So you must use this break. And if you don't use this break, it is not a logical syntax error, but it will be a logical error. Meaning it will perform for this January also. Suppose I give the input as 1. It comes over here. Number is matching 1. I will print January. But then it will not stop. It will also print February, March, April, all that kind of thing. To avoid that, you must put a break. So here a break is needed. Obviously here also a break is needed. BREAK, break, by the way, is a reserve word and also statement in C language. Whenever break is executed, it comes out of the curly brace block in which it is executed. So control will be directly transferred from here to here. Break is a statement. One more thing we are learning as a side effect here is break is a statement which you can write in any curly brace block. Effect of break is it will come out of that block directly like a hijack from that point of time. So you have so many break. By the way, after default also you can put a break. But please understand, whether you put a break here or not, anyway you are going to come out over here. So the break writing break after default is not mandatory. But if you write it, it doesn't mind it. It's like your motorcycle is already stopped. After stopping the motorcycle, when the motion is 0, whether you put a brake or not, it's okay. That kind of this brake may be written, may not be written, it's up to you. So let me summarize. Switch on some expression is written like this with starting, ending, curly brace and semicolon. Then we have cases. Case, first value of number. Case, second value of number. Like that you go on giving many cases. Please don't write these so many dots over there. For your logical understanding and to avoid writing the entire code, I have written down that dot. Here you can visualize case 3 March, case 4 April, case 5 May, like that. And lastly is a default colon, printf invalid break semicolon. Break will direct the control directly from here out of the switch statement. This overall is called as a switch statement. This is exactly the same as writing down if number equals 1, else if number equals 2, else if number equals 3, and finally else and this much, and the ending curly brace. Of course, starting and ending curly braces are marked like this. So this is called as the switch statement. Now, by the way, switch is a reserve word, case is a reserve word, this case is also a reserve word. What are the reserve words that we encounter? Switch, case, break, and this final semicolon. All these are mandatory. Please don't forget about this. Now, what is the benefit of using switch rather than if else if? It's more readable because it looks like a table. A single value number, what is it getting compared at? 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. In the single shot, you understand what is this logic about. Readability is increased. The simplicity automatically, if you can read better, you can understand it in a simpler manner. If you understand in a simpler manner, you can debug it. The errors can be removed very easily. Less scope for making errors. So it is readable, maintainable, simplistic, modular. So all these automatically qualities will come out of this. Now let us consider one more thought. If I want to convert it for another case of age group, if it is number is not the variable, if it is age, switch on age. If the age is something like 15, then what do you call that as? That person must be, maybe it's 5, then what do you call? That person is a child. Print if you are a child. If I say 20, then you can print. Or maybe say 18, what do you print? Maybe say 16, you can print adolescent. Print if you are an adolescent. If it is 20, you can say you are a young man. If it is 40, you can say you are an old man. Then if it is default, you can say you are a human being, something like that. So this is another example I have generated where the same expression is getting compared across different values. But now let's think of the possibility that I want to check the nationality of a person also, sex also, education also. So many things I am going to compare for the same human being. But the age will be stored differently. Nationality is stored differently. Meaning the logical expression to compare here, here and here are drastically different than each other. Then maybe switch is not an ideal way to do that. If else it might still hold good. I hope I am making the distinction very clear. Where to use if else if and where to use switch. When the same expression is having multiple possible values, I repeat, when the same expression is having multiple possible logical values, it's like a table lookout, or it's like a lookout table, then we use switch statement. Otherwise, your same old if else if statement will be wonderful to use. Now, thanks a lot for this. Let us see the slides on this to reinforce whatever we have learned on top of this. Thank you.